Do you want to be the very best, like no one ever was? The trading card game is your real test. To collect them is your cause. In this video, we will show you all the basics you need to learn in order to play the Pokemon trading card game. This video will cover the rules of the 2021-2022 standard format. Before we get into the basics of the game, we need to understand what the objective is of the game. The point of the game is, to simply put it, use your deck of cards to send a Pokemon out onto the field. Power them up with energy cards while using trainer cards as support. And then using your Pokemon's attacks to knock out your opponent's Pokemon. Now that we have a basic idea of what we are trying to do with our deck of cards, let's discuss the different cards that we can use to make a deck. The stars of the show are the actual Pokemon cards themselves. Let's take a look at Charizard here. On each Pokemon card, you will find much information. The first thing you may see on the card, besides the cool picture, is the name of the Pokemon. The name serves an important purpose, besides telling you what the Pokemon's name is. A maximum of 4 cards of the same name can be played in a deck. So you can play, for example, 4 Charizard, but you can also play 4 Charizard V. You can play 4 Charizard V because the V in Charizard V's name gives it enough of a name change so you can play 4 Charizard and 4 Charizard V. You cannot play, for example, 4 Charizard from Vivid Voltage and 4 Charizard from Team Up. However, you can play a combo of these cards as long as the number of Charizard cards does not exceed 4. Let's keep our attention to the top of the card and go to the left of the name. There you will see what stage the Pokemon is, and what Pokemon the evolution card evolves from, if any. For this example, we will look at the evolution line for Decidueye. We have the basic Rowlet, the Stage 1 Dartrix, and the Stage 2 Decidueye. If we look carefully at these evolution cards, we can see that Dartrix evolves from Rowlet, and Decidueye evolves from Dartrix. So if you are unfamiliar with some Pokemon, this info can help you put together evolution lines that you may have never known existed, or what part of the evolution line you are missing. Staying at the top of the card, we will now go to the right of the card's name, and we will see the HP. The HP, or hit points, is located in the top right corner of the card. This number tells you how much damage is needed on that Pokemon before it is knocked out. Our friend Oshawott here has 70 HP. Once Oshawott has at least 70 damage on it, it is knocked out, and Oshawott and all cards attached to it are sent to the discard pile. Next, let's stay in that same area and look at the typing of the card. This little symbol to the right of the HP shows you if it is a grass, fire type, etc., etc. Here's a chart of all the different types that are available in the current format of the Pokemon trading card game. Another huge part of the Pokemon cards is the Pokemon's attacks. These attacks range from doing damage to another Pokemon, to searching for a Pokemon from your deck, and everything else in between. If we look at Drizzle here, we can see that it has 2 attacks, both requiring different energy requirements. Drizzle's first attack requires 1 energy to use the Rain Splash attack. The second attack requires a water energy and 1 other energy to use Wave Splash. The white colorless symbol here means that there is no specific energy to fill the second energy requirement. To the right of the attack name, you will see some numbers. These numbers tell you how much damage the attack does to the defending Pokemon. You will also see if the attack puts a special condition on your opponent's Pokemon, as well as any other effects of attacks. The next thing we will cover on the Pokemon are the abilities. You may have noticed that some Pokemon have abilities, while others do not. These abilities can really help you set up your playing field, place damage counters, draw up to a certain number of cards, and everything else in between. Some abilities can even break the rules of the game. Example, a rule in the game is that you can only attach 1 energy card per turn onto one of your Pokemon. But if we look at Zacian V's ability, Intrepid Sword, we can see that there is a potential to put up to 3 more energies onto Zacian V during the turn. You can use as many abilities as you like, unless stated otherwise. Next, we look to the bottom of the cards. Here we see the card's weakness, resistance, and retreat. Weakness is the type that the Pokemon is weak against. It is important to note that the ×2 next to the weakness type means that attacks of that type done to the Pokemon are doubled. The example I'll use is a Skiddo, attacking Drillbur. If we look at Drillbur's weakness, we can see that it is weak to grass types, which Skiddo happens to be. This means that when Skiddo uses Razor Leaf attack on Drillbur, instead of doing 50 damage, it does 100 damage because of weakness. Resistance works sort of the opposite of how weakness works. Instead of taking more damage like weakness, resistance means that you take less damage from that type of Pokemon. Again, we will have Skiddo attacking, this time to a Mawile. Skiddo uses its Razor Leaf attack on Mawile, but with Mawile being resistant to grass, it takes 30 less damage from Razor Leaf, reducing the damage from 50 to 20, indicated by the -30 text. Up next, we will discuss Retreat. The colorless type in the Pokemon's Retreat lets us know how much energy must be discarded from the Pokemon in order to bring it from the active spot to the bench. Some Pokemon like Hitmontop have 1 retreat cost, while others like Shieldgon have 3. There are even some with nothing in their retreat, meaning they don't discard any energy to retreat. Side note, it is important to know that you can only retreat once per turn, and that the Pokemon you sent to the bench must get replaced by a Pokemon that is on your bench. Another important note, there are cards that say switch your Pokemon. Switching Pokemon and retreating Pokemon are 2 different things. While you can only retreat once per turn, switching you can do as much as you want, as long as you have the right cards, that is. On the way bottom left, we can see a set symbol, a letter, and some numbers. These little symbols help us tell what set the card is from, and the numbers to the right of the letter tells us what number the card is in the set. The letter is for rotation purposes. Rotation happens every year to take old cards out of the format and make room for new cards. It will be announced which letters will be rotated. Currently, all D and E cards are legal. The last bit of info we need to talk about is there are special Pokemon cards called Pokemon V, Pokemon V Max, and Pokemon V Union. These cards usually have higher HP and higher attacks. These Pokemon have special rules that we need to know about. For starters, these Pokemon have something that is called a rule box. The rule boxes tell you how many prize cards one was to get if they knocked out that certain Pokemon. Pokemon Vs are worth 2 prize cards, and VMAX and V Unions are worth 3 prize cards. Side note, Pokemon VMAX evolved from Pokemon V, and you treat it like a normal evolution. Next are the V Union cards. These cards have certain rules. First, to be able to put a Pokemon V Union into play, all 4 pieces must be in the discard pile. Then when all 4 pieces are in the discard pile, then if you have the bench space left, you can put the 4-piece Pokemon onto your bench. This Pokemon takes up only 1 bench spot. It is also important to note that you can only put 1 V Union on your bench per game. You can, however, put more than 1 V Union into your deck. The next type of cards to discuss are the trainer cards. Trainer cards are the support cards in the deck that help get Pokemon, energy, and other cards needed for battle. There are several different kinds of trainer cards that you can put into your deck. They are items, tools, supporters, and stadium cards. Let's start first with the item cards. You can play as many item cards as you want per turn. Item cards can range from getting you Pokemon, to energy, to getting things from the discard pile, and everything else in between. Item cards can come in forms of tool cards. Tool cards are item cards that you can attach to a Pokemon to give it a special advantage in a battle. Please note that you can only attach 1 tool to a Pokemon at a time. Now let's move on to supporter cards. Supporter cards are special cards due to the fact that they can do some extraordinary things, like search for multiple Pokemon, draw a bunch of cards, or disrupt your opponent's hand or playing field. Unfortunately, supporter cards have a little drawback. Unlike item cards, you can only play a supporter card once per turn. Also, the person that goes first in a battle cannot play a supporter card. We will talk about this a little bit more later. Speaking of trainer cards, you can only play once per turn. We have stadium cards. Yes, stadium cards can only be played once per turn, even though on the card it doesn't say it. Stadium cards are placed in the middle of the playing field, vertical to both players. The stadium stays in play after you play it. These cards can affect both players, and both players can use the effect of the stadium card in play. You can replace the stadium in play and end its effect with any other stadium card besides one of the same name. Only one stadium can be out at a time. With trainer cards now taken care of, we will move on to energy cards. The cards that help us power up our Pokemon's attacks. When it comes to energy cards, there are two different types to talk about: basic energy and special energy cards. Basic energy cards account for one type of energy. At the moment, we have 8 different basic energy cards. They are grass, fire, water, lightning, psychic, fighting, darkness, and metal. Unlike other cards in your deck, you can have more than 4 of a certain type of basic energy. Special energy cards perform a little differently than basic energy. These cards have effects that come into play when you attach them to a Pokemon. Some special energy cards can account for multiple different kinds of energy, can be attached to specific Pokemon, they can even count for 2 energy on one card, and many other cool effects. You can only play 4 special energy cards of the same name. We finally have discussed all the different cards that you can see in the game. We now need to discuss deck building. Your deck contains a combination of Pokemon, trainers, and energy cards. These cards work together to help you power up your Pokemon as fast as possible in order to take out your opponent's Pokemon. When you are building your deck, you need to remember a few things. First off, the deck can only contain 60 cards. No more and no less. 60 is the magical number you can have in your deck. This next rule may sound silly, but your deck must contain at least 1 basic Pokemon. I know I talked about this earlier, but it's important to remember that you cannot have more than 4 cards of the same name in your deck, besides basic energy. With the cards and the deck building covered, I'll now discuss the playing field. The playing field has different locations of where to put your cards on the field and where to put your cards when you've played them. I have here a picture that I took of what a playing field looks like in the middle of a game. This will help you picture better of where the cards go and help us point out which location the cards are placed. First, let's look at the right side of the playing field near the top. This is where we place our deck. This is where we will draw our cards, search for Pokemon, and perform other actions when we are allowed to. Next, we will look below the deck area, and we will see the discard pile. This is where we put cards that we have already played, and Pokemon when they are knocked out. Note that all cards attached to the Pokemon that are knocked out also go in the discard pile. Also, both players are allowed to look at their own and their opponent's discard pile during the game. Next, we will go to the left side of the playing field, and we will see 6 cards spread out and placed face down. These are our prize cards. You need to take these prize cards in order to win the game. You take prize cards when you knock out your opponent's Pokemon. When you've taken a prize card, you put it into your hand. The Pokemon trading card game is unique in that you play the game without a portion of your deck. Let's look in the middle of the playing field, and there we will see the active Pokemon. The Pokemon in the active spot is the only one that can use attacks to damage the opponent's Pokemon. The Pokemon on the bottom of the playing field are Pokemon that are waiting to be put into battle. This is called the bench. you can have up to 5 Pokemon on the bench. Over here next to the active Pokemon, we can see an area where the stadium cards go. Stadium cards are placed vertically on the field, and the effect of the stadium can affect both players or their Pokemon. Side note, some players prefer to set up their playing field with the deck and discard pile on the left side and their prizes on the right side. This is perfectly okay. With that being said, now that we have a deck and know where to put our cards, we can now start to play the game. To start setting up the game, each player must shuffle their own respective decks and cutting their opponent's deck. Then place the deck in their deck area. Next is the coin flip. One player flips the coin and the other person calls heads or tails. The winner of the coin flip can choose to either go first or second. Side note, instead of a coin to flip, some players choose to roll a clear 6-sided dice. On a dice, the even sides are heads and the odd sides are tails. Now that we know who is going first and second, each player draws 7 cards to see if they have at least one basic Pokemon in their hands. If you do have a basic in your hand, you then put that basic into the active spot face down. If you have more than one, you can choose which Pokemon to put into the active spot. And the other basics, you can choose to put them on the bench face down. Next, you take the next 6 cards of your deck and place them face down as your prize cards. However, if your opening hand contains no basic Pokemon, you show your opponent your hand to show that there is no basic Pokemon. Then shuffle those cards into your deck and draw a new hand of 7 cards. This is called a mulligan. Do this process until there is a basic in your hand. For every time someone has to reshuffle and draw a new hand, the opponent has the option to draw a card for every time the other player fails to find a basic in their hand. The only time you do not take a card is when the opponent doesn't have a basic, is when you do not have a basic yourself. You wait to take your extra cards when the opponent is able to place a basic in the active spot face down. If any of those extra cards you drew off of mulligans are basic Pokemon, they can be set face down on the bench right away. Remember that before you take your mulligan cards, your prizes have to be set first. Once each player has their basic Pokemon in the active spot and their prize card set, each player flips the Pokemon in the active spot and on the bench over. During your turn, the first thing you do is draw a card from the top of the deck. Next is really up to you in which order you want to play your cards in. You can play items, basic Pokemon, evolution Pokemon, a supporter card, stadium card, attach an energy card, or use a Pokemon ability if you want, or are able to. Even retreat a Pokemon, but only once during your turn. Remember, you can only play one supporter card per turn, one stadium card per turn, unless the stadium with the same name is already on the field, and attach one energy card per turn. Side note, the player that starts the game cannot play a supporter card on their first turn. I may be saying a lot of these rules multiple times, but it's just to get into your head exactly what the rules are. Play as many item cards as you like, and play as many Pokemon as you like, with the bench holding a maximum of 5 bench Pokemon, remember. And evolve as many Pokemon as you can. Remember to wait a full turn in order to evolve. The final thing that you can do on your turn is attack. Once the attack is called, the appropriate damage must be placed on the Pokemon. And if there are any effects of the attacks, you resolve those effects now. After the attack, we now enter the Pokemon checkup phase. Certain things can happen during this phase, such as taking appropriate actions from special conditions, taking damage from certain abilities, checking for knockouts, promoting a new Pokemon, and taking prize cards. Speaking of special conditions, we should probably take a look at them right now. There are 5 special conditions we need to talk about. They are asleep, earned, confused, paralyzed, and poisoned. When your Pokemon becomes asleep, you need to turn the card counterclockwise to show that it is asleep. Pokemon that are asleep cannot attack or retreat. During Pokemon checkup, flip a coin. If heads, the Pokemon wakes up and returns right side up. And if tails, the Pokemon stays asleep. When a Pokemon becomes burned, you must place a burn marker on it. During Pokemon checkup, put 2 damage counters on your burned Pokemon, and then flip a coin. If heads, the Pokemon recovers from burn. Remove the burn marker, but not the damage you took from burn. If tails, the Pokemon remains burned. For confusion, the Pokemon must be turned upside down. If a Pokemon tries to attack, you must flip a coin. If heads, the attack goes through as normal. But if you flip tails, that attacking Pokemon fails the attack and gets 3 damage counters on it. Your turn still ends. Paralyzed Pokemon are turned clockwise. Paralyzed Pokemon cannot retreat or attack. After the owner's next turn, the Pokemon recovers during Pokemon checkup. Turn that Pokemon right side up. Poisoned Pokemon get a poison marker on it. During Pokemon checkup, place 1 damage counter on your poisoned Pokemon. To recover from special conditions, the Pokemon must evolve or be moved to the bench. The only conditions that prevent Pokemon from retreating to the bench are asleep and paralyzed. Since asleep, confused, and paralyzed Pokemon turn the card in different directions to tell what special condition affects the card, whichever one happened last is the only one that is still in effect. Poisoned and burned Pokemon use markers instead of turning the card to indicate the special condition. These 2 special conditions do not affect the other 3 special conditions, so a Pokemon can be burned, poisoned, and paralyzed at the same time. So now finally, we come to the part of the video where we discuss how to win in the Pokemon trading card game. Actually, there are 3 different ways to win. The first way to win is the most common way, and that is to take all 6 of your prize cards. The second way to win is by knocking out all of your opponent's Pokemon on their side of the field. This may sound similar as to taking all 6 of your prize cards, but it is a little different. If your opponent has no Pokemon on their side of the field, even if you have prize cards remaining, you win. The last way to win is by deck out. If your opponent draws all of their cards from their deck and is unable to draw a card at the beginning of their turn, they lose the game. And there you have it. All the basics you need to know to learn how to play the Pokemon trading card game. I know we have gone over a whole lot in this video, but please, don't be intimidated. If you don't know where to start with building your deck, I suggest buying a starter deck from your local game store or bigger retail store like Target or Walmart. These starter decks contain 60 cards, a playmat with rules, and a rulebook with everything we have discussed in this video. You can always improve your deck by buying Pokemon booster packs from most retail and card game stores. Even the internet can help you find cards for your deck. Alright trainers, are you ready to go out and battle Pokemon? Then it's time to go out and build the best deck you can. And hopefully we will battle each other soon. Thanks for watching our video. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, and we will see you next time with some more Pokemon card game fun.